Hello and welcome to the next episode in my tutorial series, Keyboard and Theory Basics on Synthesizers. So far we've discussed a little bit about what I was trying to achieve in this series. We've talked about the notes on the keyboard. We've talked about intervals between those notes. We've talked about rhythm and how musical time gets subdivided. Today, for the first time, we're going to start doing some improvisation. Now, in order to improvise, you need typically something to improvise against. One way to do this would be to use a looper, but in this case what I'm going to do is have a backing track. And the backing track that I'm going to have is going to be courtesy of this Volca drum. So I'm going to put together a quick backing track. I already have a set of sounds that I'm going to use here. So I've put a snare on the 2 and the 4. Okay, so that's just a little drum beat that I'll be playing along with. But first, I'll be talking a little bit about how we can play an improvisation with minimal understanding of theory, of scales, and so forth. And the easiest way that we can do that is to only use one note. Now you might think, well, only using one note, what kind of music only uses one note? The answer is not very much music uses only one note. But if you were to meet another group of musicians and they said, we're going to play an F sharp minor, and you're thinking, I don't know how to play an F sharp minor. There is one note you can be sure is in the F note minor scale and should be compatible with anything that they play, and that is F sharp. So if the only note that I play in that context is the F sharp note, then I know it's going to be harmonically and melodically compatible with anything they do. Now it might not be the most interesting of improvisation, but there is a lot of variation that you can achieve. Let's talk a little bit about variation that we can achieve. Let's start with C. Now remember I was talking about counting musical time. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see that I experimented there with a few different rhythms. By rhythms I mean where I place the beats in the bar. But that's not the only thing that I can do. The other thing that I can do is not choose the beats that I place on, but how long I play for. So let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3. So not only can I choose which beats to play, I can choose how long to make notes. Another thing that I can do is choose not only which beats to play, but where to leave spaces. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and... So that was a variety of different placements of beats in the bar. That was a variety of different decisions that I made about the rhythm I wanted to play, about the length of the notes that I was playing, and about where I placed my rests. A rest meaning a beat for which I don't play and I don't hold a note. So that's about all that I wanted to describe in this episode. So I'm going to do a quick improvisation on this, and then maybe we'll come back and talk about a little something extra. So hopefully you can hear that even though that wasn't a tremendously interesting improvisation, it did show us some variation, and it allowed us some space to explore. Another thing that you'll hopefully remember that I mentioned previously is if I'm playing a given note, in this case C, I can play it in other octaves and it will be harmonically equivalent. So what I can do improvisationally now is I can play across more than one register. So when they say we're playing in C mixolydian and I don't know the scale, I can play C. And I can play C a register lower and I can play C a register higher. So let's experiment again. Same backing track, and let's try and use one note in 2 or 3 octaves. So again, not the most interesting of things, not the most interesting of sounds that I chose. It's a little bit shrill in this upper register, but I think you can hear that we've started to develop something which you would read as a melody. And that melody is not just fixed quarter notes, it's not just eighth notes, it has variation in rhythm, it has variation in pitch, and yet it remains compatible fundamentally with a set of musicians who say they're playing in C, whatever the scale is. So this is our first introduction to improvisation, and I think this is an excellent exercise because once you learn melody, often you forget about rhythm. When you only have one note, the only thing you can do is explore rhythm. So I would encourage you to get a synthesizer out, to get a drum beat going, and try a one-note improvisation. If you can, try in 4/4, 3/4, other time signatures, but if not, stick to 4/4, common time, and have some fun with it. See what you can achieve. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've been enjoying the series. I hope you'll join me for more videos in the series, but in any case, thank you and goodbye.